Yeah, it's 2:04 p.m. I had a few minutes before getting to the study room. Yeah, and they happened to return the Black's Law Dictionary right as I was standing there in the reference section, and I opened it up to the letter J. Yeah, judgment. Ooch. And Hijk. You know, it's interesting that I'm going to court tomorrow, where the court's going to have a cell hearing. They're going to make a judgment about my mental health. And on the one side, there's this idea, right, that I'm delusional, schizophrenic, bipolar. And then on the other side, there's an email that I sent today with an actual screen print from June 16th of 2017 at 1:26 p.m. on that day. And I know that the sheriffs and the police departments, they have received emails from me. In fact, I went through the actual drive where all those emails are. Yeah. And there's approximately 20 emails that have 100 email addresses on each one of them. Yeah. And the thought was, well, obviously I have to go to a cell hearing to establish my competence. Yes. Mhm. And I thought, no, I think you should remove me from the docket. But I didn't get a phone call from my public defender. I didn't receive a phone call from Maryland. I didn't receive a phone call from my sons. And I thought I'd look at that email, but there's what's known as the Judgment of Solomon, a decision that's extremely difficult to make. The reference is to the biblical story in which King Solomon gives a wise judgment to two women who both claim to be the mother of a baby. Yeah. The order being to split the baby in half. The woman who objected on the baby's behalf, preferring instead to relinquish her claim, was found to be the mother. See, split the baby. Well, I got out my Bible. Yes. And I opened it right to that very page, 1 Kings 3. Yes. Then came there two women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. The one woman said, O Lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. Yeah. And it came to pass the third day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also, and we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. She arose at midnight and took my son from beside me while thine handmaid slept, laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, I was dead. It was dead, yeah. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. The other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, But no, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. 1 Kings 3:23. Then said the king, the one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is dead. And the other saith, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. And the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king, and the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then spake the woman, whose living child was unto the king, from her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw the wisdom of God was in him to do judgment. Now, I like this story of King Solomon because Those that think, well, I'm not the one going to trial. Yes. Make Paul go to trial, even though, here's a link to the emails I sent on June 16th of 2017. I was in Port Angeles at 1:26 in the afternoon on June 16th of 2017. When was I in Brennan on that day? Now it is a question, but it's also an exclamation mark. Yeah. I want my name removed from the docket right now. Now, if you look at it, okay, for all of those that say, well, it's not my child, yes. Why don't we go ahead and slay it? This is what you're doing. You're saying my baby is dead, coach, and Paul's is alive, but I'm going to say that Paul's live sons are going to be mine. When you really do not care about them, yes. Now, this was sent from the Senior Center on Friday, June 16th of 2017 at 1:26 p.m. Now, this seems like a confusing email for those in the police and sheriff's department, but I want you to have the wisdom of Solomon, okay? Because Solomon would have cut the baby in half. Now, you don't understand the judgment of Solomon. Now, I thought I would put the videos on my YouTube profile so you can watch the videos. Yes, today, on June 16th of 2017, I said I want my family. Poe. You, the sheriff's departments, decided, no, we're not going to enforce the law. The police department decided, we're not going to enforce the law. The oaths of office, they decided they weren't going to enforce the law. The attorneys actually decided they weren't going to enforce the law. Poach. And I email approximately 3,000 email addresses with the actual link to the actual drives, and we'll go through them here in just a second because I'm not in a big hurry. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about it, aren't we, Clallam County? Because did G. Smith at City of PA get this, or Jason Viata, the Deputy Chief of Police of the Port Angeles Police Department? See, when you play Split the Baby, pooch, you're going to be slain. Now, you only had to do what was within the law. Yes. This is an actual screen print from an email that I sent on June 16th. Yeah. Now, I keep telling you, remove the fraud, remove the protection order, remove my name from the docket, remove the dissolution of marriage. I want my rights, and I do not want to go to court for a cell hearing, yes, where the district court judge is going to make a judgment about my sanity. Now, it seems crazy that Solomon would have cut that baby in half, but there is. Well, let's play Split the Baby today, okay? I was not Brennan, and I was not cyber stalking. Now, you can count the number of email addresses and the number of different email addresses. It's more than numerous. Does Brett Roberts understand right now? It is in the thousands of email addresses. I want the evidence admitted that I was not in Brennan, Washington, and I was not cyber stalking. Now, this drive, yes, it happens to be accessible to you. Yeah, you've had this information since August of 2017, and now we're faced with a situation where you're refusing to admit the evidence because you want to say that my life is yours when it's not. Oh. Now, let's look at it for just a second. Okay. We go to the expungement drive. Yes. And then, look at June 16th of 2017. I noticed that somebody had put a whole bunch of screen prints in there and tried to confuse it. Yes. 6/16/22. That's the 22nd email that I sent that day. 21 emails, coach. 23 emails, 20 emails. Yes. Now, I accidentally touched June 16th, the 20th email that I sent. It's approximately 3 megabytes. Yeah. hmm Now, let's see what time it was, because we know the day of it. Yes. And exactly who it was I emailed. Now, this court has been playing Split the Baby. Oh, this was sent at Friday, June 16th at 3:13 p.m. Yeah. Now, since I sent that from Port Angeles, Washington at 3:13 p.m. Yeah. Let's see. Gary Neal, Superintendent of the Sequim School District. You received an email. Yes. We're playing Split the Baby right now. Now, making me go to court for 2-count criminal complaint. Yes. Where I emailed from Port Angeles, Washington at 3:13 p.m. the superintendent of the Sequim schools. Yes. I've not gotten an email, so on and so forth. I thought I would give you the videos and that you can watch them all. Yes. Now, those videos are still on the P. Budnick, yes, 21 channel. Yeah. Now, these are my Facebook profiles. You can find a lot of additional evidence. Now, let's say that I go to court tomorrow and the court decides, well, oh, look at this. From Paul Budnick at 1:26 p.m. Now, this was something I forwarded from a different email address. Right. And here's all the videos when I was in front of the Masonic Temple. Yeah. Now, you say I'm in Brennan, Washington. We're playing Split the Baby. Now, which of you idiots